Hola, hola, buenos dias, Porta Vida. Welcome to Burley Rambles. I'm Burley, and this is episode 4, The Real Cost of Living Costa Rica, Buying a Home. So, you want to buy a home in Costa Rica. You do not need to be a resident. You can buy a titled property legally and be legally registered in the Registro Nacional under your passport. And we'll just go ahead and talk about price right out of the gate because it's the cost of living. So generally, the median home price in the United States is $400,000, and you can easily come to Costa Rica and find a beautiful home anywhere in Costa Rica for $400,000. And I want to say if a general budget from $200,000 to $400,000 will get you a beautiful home anywhere in Costa Rica, depending on the location, whether that's a smaller, intimate place in one of the tourist zones or hotspots, or a sprawling spread in a more unknown area. But generally, 200 to 400,000 is going to be a realistic price range. Now, it's very, very possible to get more bang for your buck with being flexible, your location, and speaking Spanish. But without all those things, easily $200,000 to $400,000. That's a really good budget to be. We're strictly talking about titled properties. We're not talking about concession properties in the maritime zone. These cannot be bought as a non-resident, and they're actually, you don't own these properties. They're not titled. You get a lease or concession from the municipality that has to be renewed every so often. So depending on the standing of the concession, it could be from 5 to 20-year lease. I don't recommend dealing with the concessions in the maritime zone unless you have a lot of experience in Costa Rica. So all in all, the process of buying a home here is very similar to in the United States. The first thing you'll want to do is find a good lawyer. And if you're going to be living here in Costa Rica, this is one of the most important things to do, is find a good lawyer, one that you can communicate with easily, is easy to get a hold of, and is responsive, because you're going to need him a lot. Much more things are accomplished here with a lawyer than they are in the United States. So number one, find yourself a good lawyer, because they will handle everything from the LOI, which is a letter of intent, when you put an offer on your home, and outlining your offer formally. And so they will help you with this, and then they're going to help you with all your due diligence, all the way through to registering your property in the Registro Nacional and getting that property titled in your name. So definitely get yourself a good lawyer. Number two, realtors. Be careful with this one. There are a lot of excellent realtors in Costa Rica, but our experience is the overwhelming majority of them are only looking out for their best interests and not your best interest. And it's very understandable. It's very hard to show properties here in Costa Rica, just to travel in just a small area, and the amount of time spent just to visit a few properties with access and things of this nature, as well as the majority of buyers here are wishers, dreamers, and are not serious. So finding a realtor, again, find a good lawyer, then find a realtor, and be careful. Don't necessarily pledge your allegiance or sign any contract to a particular realtor, but so be aware. And realtor's a loose term. It's not anybody can say they're a realtor here. And sometimes actually it's just better to find a local in the community you're looking for to help you navigate the process, because a lot of times a local will spend more time and show you more properties than what a realtor will give you, and then you can reward them and give them the commission off of your property, or they can split the commission with the actual realtor that has it listed, and you can negotiate all that as you go through. So be careful there. Also, if you're thinking about buying here in Costa Rica, make 100% sure that you are committed and you see yourself being here in Costa Rica. It is very, very easy to buy and very, very hard to sell here. Also, if you're not spending significant time here every year, like 4 months or more, I don't recommend buying a property here at all. The market's very volatile. While it could be a very good investment, they're not quick flips. It's going to take, sometimes you might get lucky in a quick flip, but generally the market is more volatile and slower to move here. So while it can be a good investment, you'll have more time invested in the end as well. And if you're only here for 4 months or less, like your whole time is going to be maintenance and getting everything back up to snuff on your property. A lot of people that visit in the dry season and they don't spend a whole year here, they don't understand what the climate does to your property. Like the climate's very, very fuerte, very strong. Bugs, weather. So generally, if you're only here less than 4 months and you have a property here, it's going to feel more like work when you come down here than it is going to feel like any getaway or relief. So make sure it's what you want. Be realistic with your goals and what you plan to do with that property. That being said, it's easy to buy and hard to sell, and there's a lot of things in the market. You would think it'd be very easy to find a smoking deal, and that is not the case. And the reason is there's zero financing options for a foreigner or an extranjero here in Costa Rica. So the majority of these properties are owned free and clear, and it's just maintenance and taxes. So generally, like, these sellers, they own their properties free and clear. And if you're at all interested in Costa Rica, you're somewhat of a patient person. So it's very rare to find a property where the seller has a lot of urgency to dump it. So that's one reason you don't find the smoking deals. The other reason is the standard of building here is, while there's the best of the world on one side, is also shacks on the other side, and that median range, like in the States, you can get a shoddily constructed house, but generally the average house is a very decently constructed house, where here you have to be very careful because they're I don't want to say shoddy, but they're not the standards that you're maybe used to in the States. So couple that with delinquent maintenance, and you just don't end up, the deals is just not, they just aren't there like you would imagine them to be. Now, you may luck into, if you're in an area and you're ready to go, you may luck into a good deal for a strong house and a good location and all these things, but in our experience, it was very difficult to find something that would suit us. The location, quality construction, and to get all these things to come together was not quite as easy as you would think it would be when you see the amount of properties that are actually listed for sale. And so don't think you're going to come down here and just find a smoking deal and run away like a bandit. It's probably not going to happen. Also, there's no central MLS system here where all properties are listed, so it's kind of a bit of a crap show to navigate the properties on the market. So hopefully you're here renting and you have some time to put into this effort. Like to come down for 2 weeks and think you're gonna find the perfect property. Maybe you'll get lucky, but generally it's gonna take more time than that. Also, as you go through the process, it's a pretty straightforward and very comparable to the States, but things don't always go so smooth here. Like, you'll get a little hiccup that can throw a wrench in the plans. Like the first property we bought, I had a closing date. I flew down to close, and the property was delinquent in taxes, and the seller was supposed to have the taxes all free and clear. So we come down to close. In the end, it didn't end up happening. I ended up having to returning back to the States and then plan another trip to close on the property. So like I said, with everything you do here, you need to be very flexible and expect it to be a little slower process. It's interesting to explain because life here on one hand is like more free and Wild West feeling, but then on the other hand, just more bureaucracy and roadblocks and just tedious BS. So it's just this weird mix of things, and that affects almost everything you do here. So when you buy a property, although it's you know, lawyer, contract, due diligence, title, all these things are very similar. Expect some hiccups, expect some silly things to happen. But if you have a good lawyer in the end, it'll work out good for you. But just be aware, it's like everything you go to do here. It's similar, but it's not quite the same. Recap: $200,000 to $400,000. This is a very easy to fulfill budget here. Now you can go less, but remember the three things: flexibility, location Spanish, find yourself a good lawyer, do your due diligence. If you're not construction minded, get a home inspection so you know exactly what you're buying. You know, where's the water coming from? Is it local municipality water? Does it have its own well? Is that well concessioned and legal? Titled, and you're good to go. Like I say, it's Costa Rica, Pura Vida. It's enjoyable. It's an adventure. Okay, peace and love. Nos vemos.